In English, American accent, my normal, I could not get my point across.
Yes, it was difficult to understand.
And when I really needed someone to understand what I'm saying, I'm like, hey, will you listen? I need some water, a glass with ice. And they're like, oh, yeah.
Oh, that is great.
And everyone's like, holy shit, you can speak 100%. I understand everything you're saying. Say it.
When you do the British accent.
If I do, I'm like, can I have a glass of water?
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
Like
when you're trying to speak proper English?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
He
That's
said
hilarious.
it sounds like British people just sound like they had strokes.
Yeah,
Or
British
them
people
up.
are Americans who had strokes.
Welcome to Secrets of a Sugar Daddy. Here's your host, Marcus.
Welcome to another episode of Secrets of a Sugar Daddy, the number one sugar dating podcast in the world, where we pull back the curtains on the good and the bad. And there's no Lily, so I'm just going to say it right now. The shocking stories of sugar dating. So Lily is recovering from a little nip and tuck, and she got her sugar daddy paid for the whole thing, and I don't think she realized what the recovery period was going to be. But I have a couple of people in here. This is going to be a big surprise for you guys because they've been MIA, but we wrangled them up, and we're going to get to them in just a second. If you guys have not become Patreon members, you are missing. I'm telling you what, you are missing out. That thing, I know I say it every week. It is fire. It is so fun. I can't even believe how it's taken off and the dynamic that we're seeing now with all the members from all over the world. The chats are going crazy. A lot of good questions. People are posting funny memes, pictures, videos. I mean, it is a lot of fun. And the great thing is you can become a Patreon member for free. We are posting quite a bit of free stuff. Now, not as much as if you are a paid member. We do have some tiers. It's so cheap. $10. I mean, I was at McDonald's the other day. I couldn't even buy a breakfast for $10. One Egg McMuffin and a combo was right at $10. So I would encourage you to become a member of our Patreon group. It's going to be just like joining a family. You're going to feel very comfortable there. We have some tiers where it includes coaching and profile reviews. And you get to hear all the episodes and extra sugars before anybody else. You get to see exclusive behind-the-scenes content of our dates out and dinners and vacations and just all kinds of great stuff. And then, like I said, there's some coaching and profile review opportunities. And here's another cool thing for you people local in Arizona. A lot of times we'll have guests come in and we want to take them out for dinner and we'll have an extra seat. And we will throw those opportunities on our Patreon group. And it's first come, first serve. Hey, we've got an extra seat at Mastro's or Maple and Ash or Ocean 44 or whatever it may be. These are nice dinners. You snap that up. You get to come have dinner with us and our guest completely free. No charge to you. The sugar daddies take care of the bill. So that's worth the price of admission alone right there. Okay, so don't wait. Become a member of our Patreon group. I know by the time this comes out, our party is going to be very, very close to happening. I've already closed the application process, but we got another one coming up in November, I believe. I have secured a box for Shakira. Now, I don't know how I'm going to work this because it's on a Thursday night. So usually our parties are on like Saturday, or the concert's on Saturday, and we have like a whole weekend affair. But we'll figure it out. I know Alejandra didn't give me a choice. She said, you're buying a suite to Shakira. So I bought a suite for Shakira. It's a done deal. And we'll get you those details later. And then you're going to hear lots and lots of great interviews and discussions from people that attended the party. We're going to have like a mobile unit set up there, just like we did last time. And I'm going to go ahead and bring in our guests because they were the stars. Well, we've had multiple stars, but these two made quite an impact at our last party, and unfortunately, they're going to be traveling, so they can't make this one, but hopefully we'll see them in November. But these are guests that have been on our show many times, and you haven't heard from them in a while, and there's a reason why, and we're going to discuss all of that and get into so much more. But welcome to some of our absolute most favorite guests of all time, Kevin and Vivian.
Wow.
There
Hey,
you
guys.
go.
Wow.
We get a clap for
Big
that.
We're
round.
back.
Big round.
Yay.
I'm telling you what, our audience has been saying, where's Kevin? Where's Vivian?
Yeah.
Did they leave? Are they still around? What's going on?
Yep.
Kevin had a little medical incident, and we're going to talk about that because he's not the only one. And now that it happened to him, I'm actually hearing more and more stories, and we just need to talk about it. It's a part of growing old. It's something that happens more than it should. I'm sure there was ways we can prevent it. Maybe. I don't know. I'm just not as familiar with it, but I know people that this has happened to. So, Kevin, I'm going to let you kind of tell your story and what happened.
Marcus, I like to think of myself as a trendsetter.
You are a
I
trendsetter.
I like to get ahead of the community.
Yeah, you like to experience things first, right?
And I was doing some research, and life gets busy with the kids. And
Yeah.
It was President's Day. I'm like, this is a good day to have a stroke.
What was that, back in February?
Yeah, February.
And it was President's Day.
Yeah, on a Monday morning.
Now, where were you?
I was in.
And you were at the airport.
Yeah, I just we had been traveling around.
You and Vivian.
Yeah, and who's here?
Yes.
The lovely, lovely. You're looking
Thank you.
great, Vivian.
Thank you. We
I
worked
haven't
out this
seen
morning
you in
together.
a while. Yeah. Okay.
And so on Monday, I went to the airport and I went through security, and there's a new lounge in the airport. And I was like, maybe I'll go to the new lounge. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But it was kind of a far walk. So I'm like, well, okay, let me go. So I'm strolling down there, and I have my carry-on bag, which has wheels. And the bag starts like wandering around. And I'm thinking to myself, I think my bag is broken. Like, I think the wheel's broken. And then I'm having a conversation with myself. I'm like, I spent a lot of money on this bag. Why would the wheel be broken? And then I'm getting angry. I'm like, how would I fix this bag? And then I get to the elevator to go to the lounge. The door closes and the bag falls on the ground. But I was holding it. I'm like, why does the bag just fall on the ground? So I go to pick it up again, and it falls on the ground. I'm like, this is weird. And the door's open to the elevator, and now there's like 3 people greeting you in the lobby.
Mm-hmm.
And now my mind's like, what the fuck's going on? So I walk up. It's early, like 6 a.m. And they're like, hey, good morning, sir. Welcome to the lounge. Make yourself at home. We have coffee and everything. And I go to say good morning. And I'm like, I can't fucking talk at all. Not one distinguishable word.
So in your head, you've got words you're trying to say, and they're just not coming out?
Yeah, it's just garbage is coming out. I'm thinking fine. And I'm like, something is going on. It's
Have you
weird.
ever seen those shows where like a reporter will have a stroke on air and she just starts mumbling garbage?
Yeah.
I
like
haven't
those
seen it,
videos?
but that's me, yeah. And then, but see, they're being like politically correct and kind, and they're like, "Okay, sure, yeah, good morning." I'm like, "Wow, I can't fucking talk." And
Like, they don't know if he's drunk, came in from a few mimosas and
Right.
just like, oh,
and they're
hey,
like, they're being super nice, and I'm like, "Is political correctness going to kill me? Because this is not normal." And they're like, "Make yourself at home." And so I take my phone out.
They didn't know if you had some speech impediment
Yeah.
or that's the way you normally were.
or drunk or
you're drunk or on drugs or something. You don't ever know
Yeah.
So I take out my phone and I
with your left hand, right?
my left hand, and I go into Notepad. I write like something like, "I'm fucked up. Like, this is not normal. I need
So
help."
you had to write it on your phone?
Yeah.
Yeah. And his
Were you,
notes.
and were you able to do that
Yeah.
at least?
Yeah.
You had enough sense to
My
do
left
that?
side was fine. My right side was slowly like vanishing.
Oh my God, how scary.
Yeah, it was scary. But the fact that you can't speak is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, I can't speak. So I'm like, okay. So I type it out. and I show it to the person, and they're like, "Oh yeah, do you need medical help?" I'm like, "Yes, good one, you got it." So they called 911 there, and fortunately, I was in the airport. Like they have EMS there, and they showed up pretty quickly, and they whisked me away to the hospital. But you don't know any of this.
No.
So
My
I'm like-
perspective is completely different from what transpired.
She's sleeping, so I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, I need to somehow communicate to the outside world.
Like, what's happened?
So Vivian, who was in,
Yeah.
can we say that now, or do I need to bleep that?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, maybe we should.
Yeah,
We probably should just because it makes sense. Like, just
Okay,
bleep the
so-
airport and bleep where I live.
You were there,
Yep.
Yeah.
but you had no clue.
No, I was
it
sleeping.
was still
So we left
early.
about 5 a.m.
Yeah.
to get, and it was there 5:36
From your place?
from my place.
Did you notice anything?
Nope. He said he woke me up and
Perfectly
said,
normal?
"Bye, love you, kiss." You know, he left
Now,
me a note,
were-
everything all sweet. I'm
Were
like,
you feeling anything the
No,
night before?
No.
no.
No, I mean he did great the night before, the day before.
Yeah, I
mean,
was in rare form. I'm like, yeah, I crushed
Do you
that.
realize that you gave your man a stroke?
I don't know. I mean, you did come like 3 times the day before.
Yeah, it was
like a lot.
It was a busy day. Where like,
It was a busy day. We stayed in bed all day.
yeah.
Yeah, so you were trying
you
to
were
tell people.
sleeping.
I was sleeping.
So I'm like, okay, first thing is take a picture in the ambulance and send it to you.
Right.
Now, at the counter, you said, "Hey, I need help," and they sent somebody over. At any time did you pass out or?
No, I was just sitting there, and your mind is the worst, right? Because you start panicking, and you're like, I can't fucking speak. My right hand's fucked up. Like something is weird. But when I got into the ambulance, the EMT was like super good, like amazing guy.
Now you're only 53 at this point.
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
Yeah, it's fucking nuts.
Okay. Continue.
So I remember I sent a picture from the ambulance. I think I sent a text like,
Yep.
I'm fucked up or something.
Yeah, he sent a text saying, "I don't feel well, going to hospital." And then he sent me a photo of his feet in the stretcher at the airport.
What are you thinking?
And then, well, I didn't
She's
see it
sleeping.
till I was sleeping, so I didn't see it for till like an hour and a half later. Like I didn't see it till like 7:30. This was like at 6 a.m.
Okay.
He sent a photo. He said, "I don't feel good, hospital or going to hospital, but maybe there was a spelling error," which is very unlike Kev. And then he sent a photo of just his feet in the stretcher at the airport. So I'm like, oh my God, they called the ambulance. They're picking him up, And then he sent me a photo of him in the ambulance, again, of his feet, in the stretcher, but in the ambulance. So now I'm like, okay. And then the last photo he sent me was a screenshot of his location, what hospital he was at. Like he
Okay.
zoomed out and then
Yeah.
sent it. And then I tried calling, but he wrote can't speak. They something they don't know what it is, but he couldn't fill in all the and things are spelled wrong, and then so I just called, and then he didn't answer, and then I took an Uber and got there.
Wow. How
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah. So go ahead with your EMT.
So the
background.
EMT, but he was like, he checks your vitals, and he's like, so, sir, do you know what's going on right now? And I was like, yes, I do.
Did you know?
Yeah.
You
He's
knew
like-
you were having a stroke.
He's like, what's going on? I'm like, I'm having a stroke. And he's like, yeah, you are. I'm like, there you go. So he's like, well, we're going to take you to a good hospital. I'm like, okay, that's good. So now you're on the ride, And I was laying there. At this moment, it's a blur. People running around, trying to do shit, scanning your head and all that. And then you showed up, that was nice. And they're like, well, there's some special medication that you can take, but it has to be within 4 hours. It's an anti-clotting clot buster.
So that's for us that are not that familiar with what causes a stroke.
Yeah.
What is it?
So it's a blood clot that makes its way into your bloodstream,
Okay.
and now it's on its way, and it's kind of like random where it ends up. And so in my case, it's in your brain, and basically in the left side of your brain, it cuts off the blood flow, which is like shutting off the right side of your body, which is really weird,
So it was in the left side of the brain?
Yeah.
Yep, left hemisphere.
And why is it there? They did 1 million scans, and they're like, not sure. But I mean, there's certain things you can pay attention to, which will minimize it. Being your blood pressure and blood sugar, keep on top of those. And mine were not good when I got in there. So.
Yeah, but you had just been on the show, and you'd given up a lot of vices. I guess we'd say.
The TMS program.
Yeah.
So it's funny, just to flash forward. Once you're through it and you're recovering, they send in a litany of people to come talk to you about stuff. And they talk to you like a kid, and they're like, "Have you thought about changing your lifestyle?"
Right.
I'm like, "Man, I'd love to change my lifestyle."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Can I eat burgers now?" They're like, "No." I'm like, "Well, can I drink Diet Coke all day?" "No." "How about vaping?" "No." I'm like, "Well, you said change my lifestyle, so I don't do any of those things." And then you see, in terms of the medical thing, they're looking for something they can pin it on. They're like, "Well, what's your diet like?" "I eat healthy." "Do you drink coffee or caffeine?" "No." "Do you vape, smoke?" "No." Then they're like,
because you'd quit that.
I got
he
rid of
quit
all
everything
the
for months,
Yeah.
like months and months. Like he did no carbs, no coffee, no caffeine, nothing. Working out 5 days a week.
That's the culprit. Don't change your lifestyle.
Because you were perfectly
healthy.
healthy when you were
Yeah.
indulging all those things that were bad for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
That's
it was
so
a shock
weird.
to my
But
system.
Maybe it was.
The blood clotting medicine it's called TPA, tissue plasma. I'm going to say that wrong. Activator. That's what they have to give within a few hours of a stroke. So when I got there, they didn't give it to him yet, but they were just about to.
And what does it do? Go in and dissolve the?
Yeah, basically, it's like dissolves clots and blood clots, and so there's conditions of which you can use it and you can't use it. The first one is time. The second one is they have to do some trade space between how much damage has happened, because it will encourage blood flow, and this is all as the doctors are speaking. But when you showed up, Vivian, they were like, they're like, "Okay, raise your left hand." I'm like, "No problem."
Right.
"Raise your right hand." So I just, your mind says, "Raise your right hand."
Yeah.
It's not fucking going anywhere.
Wow.
It's laying there. So I literally pick it up with my left hand. I'm like, "There we go.
Yeah.
I'm better." Right?
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, and you can see like systems are shutting down
On
on
the
my
right
left
side.
side.
Your right side.
Right side, yeah. I'm sorry, I get confused.
It's okay.
So then they're doing the algebra if to apply this medication or not, and they're like, "Let's go for it." So the condition is you have to lay flat for 24 hours. Okay, well, that's fine. And like they give it to you, and about maybe 3 hours into it, my right hand, I'm like, "Oh, look at that! I can raise
Has it started working?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can raise it up. I can move it around." And then you're like, "Okay, I'm going
So
to
you're getting excited. You're
Yeah.
like, oh, this shall pass.
Yeah, I'm going to come back from this." And, I don't want to say it's easy. It's not. And certainly the hospital situation sucks because what was the time?
When they do the test.
Yeah, they come in and
Yeah, they come in and they do these tests that go like put your finger out to my finger and then touch your nose and then touch it for both hands. But they have a set of them, and then they go push towards me, push against me, and they like grab your arm and do different like tests. But when you first go there, the first 24 hours, they do this test. I'm not joking. It's every 15 minutes a nurse comes in. So none of us sleep. No one sleeps. After the first 24 hours, now he's laying flat because they get the medicine. The next day, for the next 24 hours, they do it, was every half hour?
Yeah.
And then the next day, they did it every hour. So for 3 full days, neither one of us got any sleep more than an hour at a time. It really way less for the first 24 hours because they really want to keep checking all his vitals, and they want to make sure that he can do all the things and that he's not regressing, because he could regress somehow.
Now,
and they got to check it.
Are you able to speak at this point?
Yeah, so speech is hard. And part of the deal is they give you some pictures. And they're like, and they ask you, "Where are you? What's your name? Your date of birth?" And so I'm mumbling them out. But I can I can pretty much very slowly get the words out where you're like, I know what he's saying, but my speech is not like this.
Yeah.
And so one of the pictures, which by the way, every 15 minutes you have to answer this question.
Yep. They don't change it up. It's the same thing.
It's a picture of a mom, and she's standing in the kitchen doing the dishes and daydreaming. And she's left the water on, and the water is pouring out of the sink onto the ground. And on the left side, there's two kids on a ladder reaching up. The ladder is precariously placed. It's going to fall, and the kids are trying to get cookies, right? And you have to describe this scene every 15 minutes.
The same photo?
Yeah, same.
Oh, my gosh.
So after like the 10th time, I'm like, that fucking dumb bitch mom, she's taking too much fucking Xanax. Her kids are going to die. I'm like, they're like, yeah, well, technically that's right. Yeah, that's,
So you're really adding to the story.
Yeah.
But it's so infuriating because you're like, here we go again. Here we go again.
You know, you should say, you know what that dumb bitch is doing.
Yeah.
You know what
She's not paying
Why
attention.
do I have to tell you every fucking time?
Yeah, and I know why, because if I started to talk and couldn't, this is really an ability to test your thing. But in my mind, I'm like, can you give me different pictures? I'm sure.
Can you switch it up?
We have a fucking rover on Mars. Like, you can come up with some new pictures. And so we did that, and then and once the you're under review by the doctors, and you get out of intensive care and you move into a room.
Now, what kind of prognosis are they giving you on healing and timeline? Are they just vague about it, or are they saying,
in essence, what you'll see is, of course, everything depends on everything.
Yeah.
So the first condition is how quickly did you get there, and how quickly did you, like if you were sleeping or if I was on the plane and I'm like, hey, I'm having a stroke, we have to go land, and it takes 10 hours to get to the hospital, I'm sure I would have been really fucked up. So I had the best situation here, which is I'm in an airport, I'm awake, I'm not on the plane.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know right now is the problem. So the quicker you get there, the quicker, the less degradation.
Right.
Of the thing. So in terms of recovery, it's like you will expect to see in 3 months a majority of your progress. But it's going to take 9 months to a year for your complete healing. But it's a lot like if you had a physical injury, like you broke your leg.
Now
or
you're
something.
4 months.
Yeah, this is
after
4 months.
now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So do you feel like you're on progress as as they described?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
If you compared, you're having success because in the beginning your voice is fucked up, your right hand is fucked up. Mm-hmm. Sorry for all the swearing. It's emotional issues for me. But you are thankful that you're not the guy you were yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Because you're like, thank God.
Yeah.
And then there's a tipping point where you're like, why the fuck am I not my old self? Mm-hmm. And once you start complaining about that, you're like, yeah, that's part of the recovery process. Yeah. It's because you've progressed along, and now you're complaining that you're not healing fast enough. Mm-hmm. But you tend to go back and put the perspective on and say, just remember where you could have been and grind it out.
Well, taking it way back, my cousin was in a bad accident with a train, and he was in a coma for like 2 or 3 months. When he came out, he had to learn to walk again.
Yeah.
He had to learn to talk again. And you know what? He recovered, I would say, almost 100%. It took a while.
Yeah.
But then, if you met him 5 years later, you would never know.
Mm-hmm.
He went through that whole thing.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing him like a month after he came out of his coma. He was out and about, and he could barely form a few words together. And I thought, this is crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah.
Like your brain has to heal first,
Yeah.
and then you have to reprogram. It's really like someone formatted your hard drive a little bit. We're like a section of your drive, and you're like, oh, right, there's. And so what happens is, in the same way that the right side of your body is fucked up, and this is not scientific, this is me, like the right side of your mouth, your tongue is fucked up. And you never realize how many words you form so casually, because as a child you learn to speak, and you never practice learning to speak as an adult.
Right. It's just because you were doing it all your life, and
so like the
it's
letter
natural.
th, that's a very subtle touch of your tongue against the back of your teeth. You don't know that until you have to redo it, and you're like, duh car, duh. You're like, no, not duh, the. And
So are you doing some speech therapy?
yeah, right here. I speak hours and hours a day.
Vivian, you're helping him with
He
that?
speaks hours to me every day.
Yeah?
Yeah, they're
What?
like,
How do you feel his progress is?
I mean, so significantly. I mean, it's really incredible. It's pretty miraculous.
Because I haven't seen you so much, so I'm noticing every little thing.
Yeah.
Right.
But she's probably going, oh, he's world ahead of where he was.
Yeah, and like he said, when you look back at like what you were last week or what you were a month ago, or even like the couple days in the hospital, the first few days was the scariest moments. I'd say the first few days.
There's the fear of the unknown.
Right, the fear of unknown, and then you don't know how bad it is. And then they do all these tests, and they keep coming in, and they're like, okay, well, it was I'm going to say this wrong. Islamic, how do you say that? Stroke? Islamic?
ischemic.
Yeah. Ischemic stroke. And because there's two different kinds, and they're explaining out to all of us, and then they're like, you're going to need this medication. We don't know exactly what caused it. And you're like, okay, like what's, like you said, what's the recovery? They're like, we need you here for at least a few more days. So we were going to be there almost a week. There's just a lot to think about. And the first few days, also in addition to that, where he just wasn't clear on his speech. It was difficult to understand him, even for me, and then other people would come in, and I'd start getting, I could understand him better. But other people, I was almost an interpreter, and I'm like, this is so strange to be in this situation. Like, it's Kev, it's Kev. And then from there, he got like I'd say astronomically, like after the medicine they gave him, the blood clotted thinner medicine, it got significantly better next few hours. And then like a week later, and then I'd say 3 weeks to a month later, I mean, I saw just huge monumental progress. And then now it's, I mean, we've met a few people where they didn't know, like outside of this situation or work. And later I'm like, yeah, like you hit a stroke. And they're like, what? I'm like,
So
yeah.
how did you manage because you're busy as fuck.
Yeah.
How did you manage your work schedule?
That was a tough one. So I was fortunate that, like, actually today is a pretty big day. I finally got this big contract I've been chasing. And before the stroke, I had written a majority of the proposal, and I had just a little bit left. And thanks to ChatGPT, because I could really type one-handed.
Yeah.
And I was like, look, I am going to focus on my right hand and get myself to type again.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a time window of 10 days where this thing has to be submitted. So I can't learn how to type. Like, let me get ChatGPT going. So I fed all this shit in there, and it boom, like it worked. And then today they're like, congratulations, you won it. So yeah, I was really busy. But my clients were there too, and they were very gracious. They're like, hey, take the time.
They came and visited him in the hospital because they're all mainly out of that, city. So they came to visit, and they were really sweet.
And, I have coworkers who pick up the slack, but I have put most of the things I need to do to bed aside from the proposal. So I was already kind of distancing myself from day-to-day grind. And so then I was like, okay, take the time and recover, like you're not in a rush. And then I spent a week in the apartment after when I got out. But the thing I think is funny, a couple things that were funny is, one is I went in on Monday and I got out on Friday. Okay. And Monday was a holiday. Mm-hmm. So I sent an email to everyone, my coworkers. I'm like, hey, it's Friday. I just want you to know I went in on a Monday. I had a stroke and I'm out on Friday. But just to let you know, if you want time off for like dental work and you need like a week, then I was like, I had a stroke on Monday. It was a holiday, by the way. I took Monday, the holiday, to have the stroke. And I was out on Friday. So why do we need a week for a toothache? Right?
What's
no one can ask for time off without this.
He's like, I want to get on my email on Friday. As soon as I get in.
Sanctimonious health thing. But on Thursday, there's all these teams of people that come in, and it's like a TV show. In come the neurologists, and they're in a team, and some are students, and they're talking, and there's always a little Asian lady, and she's like, grabs your feet and wiggles your toes, and you do this stuff. And so at some point, she's like, yeah, everything looks good. And she goes, I have to say, your speech is getting a lot better. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, what do you mean? She's like, I can tell your speech is just better. I'm like, no, this is how I used to speak before the stroke. I was and because it's the East Coast, everyone's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to insult you. I'm like, no, I'm fucking with you. Like,
Well, you didn't lose your sense of humor.
yeah,
No,
I mean, I was there mentally.
Yeah.
And I think that's a trick. Like my friend, a friend of mine was like, I just wanted to know, inside your brain, is it you?
Right.
And now it is you. You're just trying to fix this mouth that has to convey your ideas. That's the frustrating part because
Right.
my mind is still going fast, but I have this slow orifice that's like trying to spit out words.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've always remained like conscious, right? And you never lost consciousness, and you've also always remained yourself, and then you knew what was going on every time. And you also said, I thought it was interesting, he had no pain at all. Like they kept asking, you have any pain? No, he just knew something was off, and it just
Yeah.
and he did.
But in the hospital, like eventually the nurses left. I'm like, hey, like I think it was Thursday.
It was Thursday.
I'm like, come over here.
You hitting on the
There's
nerves.
a fantasy here. Like, just suck my cock a little bit.
Yeah, to me.
You didn't say that.
Yeah, I
No, to me. No, he's like, yeah. Let's
Oh,
just,
you said that?
No,
To
he said
you?
to me.
Yeah, I said to her.
He said to
Vivian,
me.
okay.
Yeah, not to the nurse. No, but
Okay,
after the nurse
thank you.
left, he's saying, just come here and suck a little. Like I have a little fantasy in the hospital. But also, we want to make sure it works. And it
Yeah,
did.
and that's my way of saying.
and it worked?
Kevin's in there. Yeah.
Oh
it's-
yeah. Kevin's in there. Yeah, it works.
Way to go, Kevin.
Yeah,
And then,
and then you put. So go ahead.
I was gonna say, well, then Friday when you got out.
Yeah, I was like, I have to make sure I like.
We got to test all the facilities.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think the
To the
difference,
fullest?
the difference between men and women is when you watch soccer
Okay.
and there's a free kick and the men line up, they don't cover their face.
Oh,
They cover their nuts because that's they don't. Okay, hit my face fine, but don't damage the goods.
right.
Right.
So in my mind, I'm like, make sure the goods are working. And yeah, I'm like, okay, they're back. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm on the road to recovery. Yeah.
He had a stroke on Monday and came on Friday.
Well, and apparently right before the stroke, he was
Yeah.
Yeah.
doing just fine. So,
Doing just fine.
I mean, do
Yeah.
we attribute any of this medical issue to him being a little oversexed?
Yeah.
I don't
No.
know.
It could be.
No.
It could be.
No.
Because I've heard it's healthy for men, especially to work that prostate. You don't want it to go stale.
Yeah.
No, you don't. No.
Then the funny part is because my right hand is fucked up, I'm like, oh shit, I can't jerk off. So then I perfected jerking off with my left hand.
Yeah.
How's that going for you?
It's great.
Yeah. Now we can do both.
It's like a whole new person.
Yeah,
New
it's a whole new
feelings.
experience, right?
And then I texted her maybe a month ago. I'm like, major milestone in my recovery.
Yeah.
Jerked off with my right hand again.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
back. I'm
You're
coming
back, baby.
And now I'm ambidextrous. Like there are really silver linings here.
Yeah.
I think I found the teaser for this episode. Wow.
Yeah. Right there.
But the thing is, the recovery. You just have to be patient. That's the hard part.
That is the hard part.
But there's a mystery if you're like, well, I know my impatience is, if you told me you'll be back to 100% in 9 months, I'm like, fine, I'll wait it out. Like, but you
don't know.
You don't know. So you get like, nervous. Am I going to come back? Am I, but if I remained this person from here on out, I consider myself lucky, right? I'm fully functioning. And I think the speech gives me a little je ne sais quoi.
Well,
Right?
Yeah.
you certainly have like this little accent now.
Yeah.
That,
Yeah.
I have a crooked smile. That's intriguing.
you have a crooked smile.
Just a
You can make it. You can play into it.
That's
You
the thing.
don't-
I can play it up now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone comes at me at work and they're like, "You fucked this up." I'm like, "I'm sorry." I didn't. Yeah.
You're gonna play that card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
I guess you can pull that one out of the deck now.
Yeah. He also can still do some accents.
Yeah.
Yeah, my British. Well, the first thing I could do.
Your British
was
accent's
really-
on point now.
It was really odd when I came out of the hospital. I couldn't say shit. Like in English, I swear to God, in English, American accent, my normal, I could not get my point across.
Yes, it was difficult to understand.
And when I really needed someone to understand what I'm saying, I'm like, "Hey, will you listen? I need some water, a glass with ice." And they're like, "Oh yeah."
Oh, that is great.
And everyone's like, "Holy shit, you can speak 100%. I understand everything you're saying." Say it.
When you do the British accent.
If I do, I'm like, "Hi, have a glass of water."
yeah.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
Like,
when you're trying to speak proper English.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's
He said it
hilarious.
sounds like British people just sound like they had strokes.
Yeah,
Or
British
marbles them
people
up.
are Americans who had strokes.
That would have been really amazing if you came out knowing a second language.
Oh,
Yeah.
that would be so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of a sudden they're like, how's he speaking Portuguese?
So you do have that in your mind. You're like, okay, what superpower have I unlocked that I
Right.
don't know about yet?
Exactly.
And one day I'll be like, I know Kung Fu, you know,
Yeah.
or something. But I haven't found it yet.
You haven't found that
Yeah.
superpower that your stroke unlocked?
No. I told him if people still couldn't understand him after the first couple weeks, I was like, just go lean into the full British accent, and we're
Yeah.
just gonna be like, he just woke up like that. And that's
That
just
would
it.
be
That's
great.
How that's how he speaks now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it would be totally acceptable.
Yeah.
It's just,
No one will question it.
no, they wouldn't.
No.
Like I was thinking of telling someone that I'm like when I meet them at these cocktail parties, they're like, "What do you do?" I'm like, "I'm an actor. I'm here in America playing a role as an American guy who had a stroke." Like,
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they would never know that. And I'm like, "Yeah, of course I can go back to England." They're like, "God, this guy's in character all the time. Look at him. He's." I'm like, "Oh, no, not really. I mean, it's just a role I play. It's
Interesting.
brilliant,
Brilliant.
you know, like."
You do it so well.
So it opens up so many things about your brain and how bizarre it is, and the fact that a clot, I mean, that's so microscopic they can't see it on an MRI. No, what was the first? I had 2 scans. One was what's the one?
Were,
you get?
were they
scan?
able to actually locate it?
Yeah,
The
not
CAT scan?
the CAT scan was the first thing they couldn't find it. So one other thing you realize is the nursing crisis is real.
Yeah.
Like, they're so short on nurses.
I can imagine.
And they're like, okay, you have to have an MRI. And I'm like, when? They're like, we have no idea. Whenever they're available. And so it's like 3 a.m. You're awake anyway because they wake you up every 30 minutes. And like, it's MRI time. And they wheel you down there. And everybody is so pissed off and angry. And
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It's so they're like, don't.
Were you on any drugs at this time? Any medication?
No.
Was there any pain?
No pain.
No pain? Okay.
No, just blood pressure medicine. And
yeah, it was just like blood pressure and sugar,
Yeah,
that kind
sugar.
of stuff. And they gave you like potassium, a couple like vitamin, like
Man,
nutrient stuff.
When you fall asleep and they're waking you up every 30 minutes, that's got to be
that's really annoying.
Annoying.
And then when they wake you
Yeah.
up, there's like, here's a picture of the chick doing the fucking dishes again. It's like, look, I told you 30 minutes ago that that's a cactus. You know I know that's a cactus, right? So,
right.
like, where are you? I'm in the hospital. Okay, yeah. But again, I know why they do it.
Yeah.
But when you're just fall asleep for like 10 minutes, they're
Mm-hmm.
like, hello, sir, wake up. Time to do your test again. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then they moved me up to this room, and the room was like super sweet. There was no one else in it. Mm-hmm. Great view.
Yeah.
I was like, well, this is pretty dope here. And then they're playing the game. They give you a menu, and it's like got hamburgers on it and chicken tenders. I'm like, this is fucking great. Can we just like order this stuff? So you go down there.
Yeah.
What happened?
I called down to get to order. I'm like, I'd like to order. And they're like, okay. And then they're like, for room, whatever the room number. I'm like, yep. And they're like, all right. And then I told them, I'd like this, one of that, and that, please. And they're like, okay, great. So we have you registered, though. You're in room this, right? And I was like, yeah. They're like, yep. So he's only allowed to have soft foods. So he's not allowed to have anything's on this menu. There's a separate menu they provided, and that this is what it is. And everything is just blended, pureed, mushed. Like one of them was it French toast? What was it?
Yeah, it was some kind of a toast.
So, yeah, it was some kind of toast. But
So they describe it. They take bread,
yeah,
they put it in the food processor,
Yeah.
and smash it.
yeah,
Put like water in it,
maybe a little water. Yeah,
and then they shape it back.
Well, it's like bread pudding.
But it looks like a piece of bread.
yeah. But
Oh.
it's literally bread just with some water blended in a blender, and then they smash it into like a cookie cutter shape.
It's really gross.
It's so gross, and it's just all grayish brown, all one color, and just like they cookie cuttered, and then they put it on the plate. It was like, here's your bread or here's your toast, because everything has to be so mushed and pureed because they didn't know if he could.
And you were
swallow
able
and
to eat it?
I did not eat that.
No, he ate my food.
I ate applesauce. But then you realize you're in the game, right? Because you have to pass their tests to get more things, right? And one of them is they don't know if your tongue is working and you can actually eat solid foods. Because I'm like, I know I can because you ordered, you brought in chicken tenders.
And he was eating
and I'm like fucking pounding them. And then the nurse comes by. She's like, okay, well, we have to give you a test if you can eat solid food. I'm like, bring it on. And so she's like, here's a cup of pudding. I'm like, so I pound it. And then she's like, okay, now I'm going to put graham crackers in it. I'm like, bring it on.
Yeah.
Pound that. She's like, okay, now a graham cracker. I eat it. She's like, okay, you passed the test. The menu opens up. You can now order these other things. I'm like, okay, cool. But the one that got me was a lady comes by. They're always, do you live alone? All those questions. I'm like, I know I can walk. Like, I'm walking around my room. She's like, well, now you have to take the test to see if you can walk. I'm like, okay. All right, come out here into the hallway and walk around all the nurses and walk up a flight of stairs and come back down, and we'll see. Right, so I just truck it out, go up the stairs, come down, come back in. But I come back in, and at the same time, the other nurse comes in and checks my blood pressure, and it's higher. And so the nurse who asked me to walk is like, oh, wow, this is going to be a problem. I'm like, why? She's like, well, your blood pressure is up. I'm like, yeah, I just walked around and did a flight of stairs. Would you expect everything to be the same?
Yeah.
And then you realize you're in a power game. And she's like, oh, really? Well, I might have to say you would have to be here another 2 days.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I'm shut the fuck up now.
Oh,
like,
man.
it's a power game. I'm like, I will do whatever you need me to do to get. First of all, you want me out of here too. Like, I'm taking up a bed. And, but, my line is to anyone, Marcus in particular, you or anybody, if you're thinking about having a stroke,
Okay.
highly overrated. I've been there.
Overrated.
It's 1 star. It's not worth the hype. It's
No.
really it's a shitty experience.
Now, have you got the bill for this yet?
Yeah, it's not bad, not that bad.
No.
$10,000.
No way. You must have good insurance.
Yeah, I do.
Because I, matter of fact, it's funny we even talk about this is because I was in the ER almost a year ago. I just got a bill today for like $1,100. And I look at the total bill. I was there for 2 hours. I had slipped off my trailer. I was at the dump.
yeah.
I remember
Slipped
that.
off the trailer, hit my side of my head on the gate, the metal gate. My whole side of my head was swollen. I had lost hearing on my left side. I didn't know what happened. I was bleeding. My ear was ripped open. So anyway, we go in there. They give me stitches. They do MRI. They're like, "You're fine. You're just bruised up." $13,000.
Oh my gosh,
I was there not even 2 hours.
that's nuts.
$13,000, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. Now my insurance paid most of it, but my bill was still like $1,100.
Oh,
And I got it a year later.
that's funny.
Like I just got it today, and I'm like, "What is this?"
Yeah.
And I looked, and it was
what
for
computer system did they turn on? That's
Yeah.
like bing. So to answer your question, 10,000 is what I had to pay.
Yeah.
Who knows what the total bill
It's
is?
had to been $100,000.
Yeah, for sure.
Because hospital bills it's out of control.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the insurance negotiates with them to what they actually pay, because it'll say this part was covered by insurance. There's no way they're paying $13,000 for 2 hours of me just getting a couple MRIs.
But it's like the hotel rooms. You know, have you seen on the door, they say this room is like $700 a night on the door, but you book it for like $200.
Oh, I know, right?
And it's like, well, in the event of a fire, they can claim the loss is $700 a night per room. So you're right. There's some insurance game going on.
Yeah.
All I know now is I go to the pharmacy to pick up some kind of medication. They're like, "Have a nice day." I'm like, "Don't I have to pay?" They're like, "Nope."
Yeah, my medication is like $1.
Yeah.
Whatever I order, it's like it's $1.
Yeah.
Mine is
Okay, here's my $1.
maxed out. So they're like,
Yeah.
"Have a nice day." I'm like, "I'm getting free shit. This is weird."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we were going to also bring up, as we're getting through this show and quickly running out of time. So Trucker, Lily's sugar daddy / boyfriend, had a stroke also. We had a guest in town.
Yeah.
We all ate dinner at, I believe it was Maple and Ash, and great time.
Yeah.
No problem at all. So that night, he started feeling a little lightheaded. He was getting nauseous. And so he went to the bathroom, and Lily heard this big clunk and like somebody falling.
Oh man.
And his elbow or something had gotten caught in a drawer, like it opened up one of the vanity drawers, and so his elbow and arm is in the drawer. He's slumped over. She goes in there. He's unresponsive, absolutely passed out. He's just mumbling. She can't, get him to say anything. He's glazed over. I mean, she is freaking out. Now he's 62, or 63, 62, and we had just had dinner like the night before.
Wow.
Didn't seem to have any problem. And then she ended up calling 911. Ambulance is on the way. He came too, and he goes, "Just call him off. I feel fine.
Oh.
I think I just got food poisoning." And then he went and threw up a couple times. And she's like, "Oh, okay.
Dude.
It must have just been food poisoning." Well, he goes back to bed, and she goes, he immediately went to sleep, but he wasn't feeling well. And then he woke up. He couldn't move his left arm.
Oh my God, dude.
And he had, I don't know, he had like the sensation his left arm was gone. So anyway, they took him to ER, and like they do some tests on him. It's like, okay, touch your nose with your right hand. And it could be opposite, but let's just say for right hand. So he touches his nose, and they go, okay, touch nose with your left hand. And he's like, he's touching his shoulder,
Yeah.
the side of his head.
That's what
Like
it's like.
he's thinking he's doing it,
Yeah.
and it's not happening. Now he ended up, and so they did a lot of tests, and they had him in there for a couple days, and he had a very minor stroke, but a stroke nonetheless.
Wow.
Right.
And we're like, what is going
Dude,
on?
it's crazy.
Yeah.
And then, there is a rise in incidents of strokes.
Why?
Well, if you're in conspiracy theory land,
Well,
like
the
Lily,
vaccine and
the
stuff.
vaccine, who knows? But
Yeah.
I think a lot of it's also just medical, like maintenance, like check your cholesterol, your blood pressure, your sugar levels.
Yeah.
Like his sugar levels were a little off, but I think it's because he possibly changed his diet so much, pardon me, the last few months. But even then, they just say, like, as you get older, especially, men and women, but just keep checking your vitals. Like when you go to the doctor and keep track of where they're at. Because it can be prevented, or if you want to go on some medications to have, you might need blood thinners, you might need cholesterol medicine, because those are all contributing factors,
Well, the reason I wanted you guys in, and I was hoping Lily could be here too to talk about the incident with Trucker, but as these sugar babies are dating the older men, the sugar daddies, these medical issues just come up naturally with age.
Yeah.
And so you kind of need to start recognizing, hey, something's not right here.
yeah.
Yep.
And if there's something not right, then, get them to the hospital. But it happens more often than you would imagine. And here it is, two good friends of mine have had it within the last 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, that's wild.
That is why, and I hadn't dealt with it. I had a boss when I was a teenager. I worked at a department store, and I had a boss, and he had like the side of his face was droopy, and then he had a little bit of a limp. And somebody told me, oh, he had a stroke many years ago. He was still functioning. He was still the general manager of the store, but he was obviously fucked up.
Yeah.
And he had in his speech never really came back. It always because the side of his face. Now, probably they didn't catch his in time. I mean, this was back in the 80s. So,
but that's the thing, like with Trucker, when I went in the lounge in the airport, I knew I was fucked up. And my mind said, you're fine. This is just something, you'll get through it, ignore it. And then you have a internal defense mechanism. And then it said, this is just like a bad dream. This is real. And then you have to like slap yourself in the face and think of yourself as someone else. And you're like, dude, you are fucked up.
yeah.
Get in the ambulance and go now. But you will build this story. No, I had food poisoning. There's something else. My advice, tell that voice to shut up, and they'll be like, go check it out. Because in this case, the time seemed to be the guy you described.
Yeah.
I mean, my right hand was fucked up, and my right lip was drooping too. It's funny how it's the same features in people who've had them. Like your lip droops, your speech, your tongue, and your arm and your leg, you lose mobility. But it just is time. And so I'm like,
all right. So your advice is don't ignore it. Get it taken care of instantly, because the faster you can get some help with it, medication or whatever they give you, then the less damage I think it'll do.
That's right. It's damage to your brain that you have.
See, I'm stubborn like you. I'm just like, oh, this is I don't know, but I'll get through it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
and truckers that way
for
too.
sure.
Like
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was like, well, this is it. Like you think to yourself, this shit doesn't happen to me. It happened to others, and then you're like, no, wake the fuck up. This is happening to you, and this is real. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, don't do this. Don't do the excuse game. And I was like, all right, here we go. I guess I'm going to have to take some time and, take care of myself, heal, recover. And
And now, I mean, he is on medications now, but he's been considerably off a lot of them, right? Like when he first started right out of the hospital, they did give him 8 or 9. Like these are your daily things,
Yeah.
Aspirin's a big one though. They say take baby aspirin every day. They're like, once you hit 50, you should just start taking baby aspirin every day.
I've heard that all my life. Is it really true?
Yeah, the hospital
well, they said so. Yeah.
They're like, just once you hit 50, take baby aspirin every single day.
Interesting. So
Sugar Baby answer.
all right. Well, as we wrap up, are we living life any differently now? Do you see things differently? Or is it status quo? You're continuing on. What's your thoughts?
Well, you get a new perspective on life for sure. You're like, oh, I have extra time that I would have lost, and you focus on making sure you appreciate that time.
Yeah,
because you can just take it for granted.
Right. Tomorrow is never guaranteed.
Yeah, that's true. And when you've been through it, you're like, it's kind of like a shark attack. You're like, I was in the ocean and a shark came up, he bit me. Not hard, but I do have, you go through what could have happened.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, but it didn't. Yeah, okay, fine. But make sure you take care of yourself and also appreciate the moments, right?
Right.
But aside from that, I think on myself, I've drawn a clearer line between work.
Yeah.
Our work will drive us into the ground. If you give them 14 hours a day, they'll take 16.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'm like, at 3:00 in Arizona, I'm like, my fucking computer is closed.
Yeah.
There's no more work coming out of me right now unless I want to do it.
Right.
So, and then shifting back, I mean, my routine, the last year and a half, my routine has been disrupted because I've been pursuing this opportunity. And so before that, for years, every morning I go to the gym with my friends and we work out, have coffee. And so the last year and a half, it's been get up, go right to the computer, calls, work. And now I'm like, fuck that. Let's go back to how it used to be, especially once I have my job done, which is to get the contract.
Yeah.
I'm technically done. So just drawing a clear line between, you have to give your time to someone, others or yourself. So I'm like, I'm going back to myself.
Yeah.
Well, very good. Well, thanks for coming in and sharing
course.
this. I've been wanting to talk to you for a while, and this was a good opportunity to do that. We're going to miss you guys at the party. You drove everybody around. That was a lot of fun, getting to meet people, you picking them up from the airport. And then, of course, the girls all loved Kevin and Vivian. And the guys, were just, you made friends with everybody. So
It was a great party.
Is Victoria coming this time around?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
You might
Yes.
have to come back. I'm going to be in Japan.
Yeah, her and her little sidekick from Las
her sidekick,
Vegas.
yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's going to be a lot of fun. We got a more eclectic, diverse crew than ever. Our last party, we had 30 people. This time was 44.
Okay.
And we rented an Airbnb in Paradise Valley. It has 11 bedrooms. And it is right in the heart of the most beautiful part of Phoenix. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah.
So sad I'm going to miss it.
I know. Oh, and then just, I just got off the phone with a production company. They're wanting to sell something to Netflix or HBO or Lifetime. And we've talked about some ideas. And this is like the fourth discussion I've had with. They're very serious.
Yeah.
So
That's wild.
we're looking at doing maybe something. I won't reveal everything yet, but it's getting closer and closer to becoming a reality.
cool.
That's awesome.
I mean, we're still just in talks, so
Yeah.
nothing yet, but pretty soon you may see, something about sugar dating on your TV screen.
Yeah.
We'll
Man,
see.
that's crazy.
I know. All right. If you guys want to share your crazy sugar dating stories, we'd love to hear those, even if it's about medical issues that you think is important to us older men. I mean, we do talk about ED issues and other things that, it's natural for us to go through, but we'd love to hear them. Go to our website, secretsofasugardaddy.com, and come join us on Patreon. You're going to have a lot of fun. If you sign up for one of our tiers and you are not having the time of your life, let me know. I'll hit the refund button so fast it'll make your head swim, and it'll cost you nothing to try it out. But you're going to love it. You're going to love the people. They're just like family. You're going to love the discussions. And it helps support the show, and we just appreciate all of our family there. So, Kevin, Vivian, come see us again soon.
Yeah.
Keep us updated.
Sure
Good
will.
seeing you again.
Yeah, I keep working on that British accent.
Yeah. I thanks to everybody out there.
Yeah.
I'm having a great time.
Okay. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us. If you'd like to connect or even be on the show, we'd love to hear from you at secretsofasugardaddy.com.
All right. That was good. That was really good.
Yeah. It's good to be back in the saddle.
Back in the saddle.
Yeah, I'm back.